points too many?
Guess I don't know. The first score, when they scored in the red zone, I thought that was a bad call by me. I wish I had that call back. I kind of made the call too early, and I wish I would have changed it. But hey, I mean, that's on me on the first one.
You know, funny. I think Ben Weaver last night was saying, yeah, wasn't good enough. We gave between rushing yards, whatever. It almost felt a little bit like they'd moved the ball, and then you look at the stats at the end of the day, they had like 250 yards and they scored 10 points. So
right.
The standard's just so high at this point that everybody kind of sees the flaws rather than the overall good performance.
It just kind of felt like, because that offense is a pro style offense, it felt like, at least up in the box for me, he kind of kept me off balance of getting into a rhythm. It kind of he started off going heavy personnel, and so I thought they wanted to run a game and take shots, and then they kind of went 10-11 personnel a little bit, and spread. So for us, I think the kids, they could never get into like a rhythm, on defense.
Coach, the Colorado State, they had really one good drive, which turned out being their only touchdown of the game. What did your guys do to adjust, or how did they play after that to be able to pretty much shut them down, at least run-wise after that?
Once again, the key is our whole thing is if they get in the red zone, right, we want to at least hold them to field goals. And I thought we had them in a 3rd and 12 when they scored. And once again, I put that on me. I didn't think I put our guys in the best situation for that. If we could have held them to a field goal, okay. I thought they hit us on a double pass, and then on I think it was a fly sweep, if I'm not mistaken, and a reverse, I thought are the plays that stood out. So, they're a good offense. They're smart with what they do. I thought our guys played hard. The one thing I thought is that when they tried to take their shots, our guys played them well. As far as our corners, I thought our corners played well. Because, it's tough, when they're going those heavy groups, you have to stop the run. And so you have those, have them out there on that island a little bit. And so but I thought they played well, holding up on the outside.
You said last week you don't want them playing defense, you want them to get off the field, as fast as possible. I think 9 of their 13 drives were 5 plays or less. I guess, is that a sign of a good defense, that you get them off the field as quick as possible and don't let them sustain those long drives? And how big has that been for you?
We harp on it, as a team. We harp on it, from our head coach all the way down. We harp on that, and so I think that our guys, whatever you harp on as a coach, they're going to buy into that. It's kind of like the whole being physical and tackling, right? I think the more you practice it, the more you harp on it, the better you'll be at it, And so our deal is, we want to get off the field. I don't want to be up there just calling. I'd rather be up there. I'd rather sit up there and watch our offense on the field. I enjoy that. I enjoy watching our offense on the field. And so, if we can get those guys off the field, then great. That's our job.
You actually sit and watch the offense, or you?
After we make our adjustments and all that, I'm still, my mind is still going on the next call and the next drive. But yep, I'm watching the offense. I want them to score.
We've asked you a lot about Darian, but the week he had missing a practice and
sorry about
his daughter to be born, and
right.
That's an experience that some, but not very many at his age, go through that experience.
Right.
For him to miss practice, deal with that, and have all that stuff going on, and then to come out in the game and play well like you did. What's that say about him, and just how impressive does he continue to be week in, week out?
Well, he's played enough that for him to miss a day wasn't a big deal for him. And with iPads and huddle and all that type of stuff, he could watch film on his iPad. So for a guy like that, that's played a lot of games and kind of knows our scheme, he knows our system. I wasn't worried about him missing a day, but for him having this, for him it was great having him. His little girl who is beautiful, by the way. And so she's a beautiful baby girl. So, she was healthy. My whole concern as a coach was I went from a coach to like a brother. I just wanted to make sure everything was smooth. We had a healthy baby. And so I kind of went from coach to kind of just making sure he was okay and, the baby was okay.
Has he been able to bring her up to the facility, or did guys go to the hospital and see him there?
Not yet.
Okay.
Not yet.
How many guys on the team would you have confidence with missing time and being, I guess, just being okay with the missing time throughout the practice week?
I don't know if you say you'll be okay with guys missing time. I think with that it was a with him having a kid, obviously. But if guys are injured, okay, yeah, that's one thing. But for him, he's a guy, like you said, he's a veteran, he's a captain. He's played a whole lot of downs. He knows our system well. So for him, I don't think it was a big deal. Obviously, we don't want that happening every week, but he did a good job for us.
You look back at again, it seems like you guys have really limited long drives early in games. Have you noticed because of that, it's taken teams longer time to kind of find their rhythm on offense?
I think the key is turnovers. For some reason, we've been able to create those early, which I think kind of helps us out. And so for me, I always have to kind of get a feel for the way every game is going. Obviously, if a team has a plan to run the ball and kind of, I think everybody wants to keep our offense off the field, and then, like I said, it's my job to keep our offense on the field. And so if we can somehow control that, and get turnovers or get our offense the ball more and more and let them score, then that kind of helps me out as far as, exactly what I think they're going to do. I will say this week is a challenge. No week is easy. I keep saying that, but these guys are pretty good.
What are you going to see from them offensively? What are their strengths?
The run game, quarterback, running backs, their wide receivers. If you go back and watch film from last year and you watch those same receivers from last year and watch them this year, I mean, they've taken some steps now. Their routes are better. Their speed and conditioning coach up there, the strength coach, is doing a good job because those guys look faster, but their running backs run with power. They break a lot of tackles. The quarterback can scramble. You kind of saw we got hurt the other night, with the guy kind of getting out of there a little bit. So the running back is the first concern, and then the quarterback is a second concern for us on defense.
Yeah, that has been kind of maybe you guys' one weakness on defense is quarterbacks that can kind of improv back there. And
right.
Obviously, he is very good at that. What kind of a challenge does that present to your guys to try to contain that?
It's going to be a challenge. Stand in our lanes. We have to stay in our lanes a little bit. On one, I thought we got a holding call, if I'm not mistaken, when he got out. So that was good to get the holding call if we're being held. But, we got to stay in our lanes.
Have you guys faced the quarterback that's this mobile this year? Probably the most mobile guy you faced back there this year?
I would think so. I mean, you brought me back to the guy that was scrambling, throwing up deep balls. So I appreciate you bringing up that one.
You mentioned the short week. You mentioned the short week and this being a challenge for you. How do you lose the day? How do you catch up on the film watching and the preparation stuff? And did you sneak any peeks at Utah State, in the last last week, or how do you? Did you just start watching them this morning or last night, or how do you try to make up for that extra time?
Truthfully, the only sneaks I got on them was their defense because they just played Colorado State, so I was able to watch their defense, and their defense is good. So no, we just came in early this morning, and got going on a regular. If you're a regular week, we usually head in about 9 or 10. On Sundays, we came in about 8, so we started off a little early. I couldn't sleep last night because I knew, the challenge ahead, so I didn't get very much sleep. My wife was looking at me going, "Aren't you tired?" And I was going, "I don't have time to be tired." So, we have an offense that can rush the ball for a lot of yards, and big chunks of yards at a time. I'm talking about 40, 50-yard runs at a time. So that'll keep me up at night.
Do you Do you ever notice anything? Like you said, you're watching Utah State's defense play Colorado State's offense, but do you ever notice anything when you are watching an opposing defense like that? Maybe you and Drink share it with each other since you're kind of watching each other's.
No, I don't know about sharing with each other, but I just know from watching the other team's defense, you know, how I feel like they'll do against our offense. And so I kind of know, okay, if they're pretty good, our offense won't have a whole lot of chances to score on them if I don't get them, the ball much. So it's up to me to get those guys the ball as much as possible.
You know, Cam obviously has had kind of a different story to get here, and you with him before. Can you tell us a little bit of his story? And we haven't got to talk to him yet, but kind of how you got hooked with him back originally, and just kind of what he brings to the table.
Recruited Cam Miles out of West Mesquite High School. He signed at A&M. Things didn't work out at A&M. He went to JC. I actually left, and he came back here, and then he was still in A&M. Then he went to JC in Kansas. I recruited him, was close with him. His dad called me. Some mutual friends kind of called and said he wanted to come here and play. And I mean, really, if you think about it, with him and Dylan, who are from the same school, they're kind of two of the same type of players. They're that strong safety, they're physical, they're both about 6'1", 6'2", about 210. And, he's smart. I mean, he's a smart player, and you kind of see as weeks goes, he's getting better and better out there on the field. So,
did you keep in touch with him, through that whole transition at JC, or did you kind of lost touch with him for a little bit before they reached out to you? Or?
No, he would call me.
Okay.
Yeah, he would call me.
What was the connection between you guys? Why were you guys kind of close?
From just recruiting, to me that's the key when it comes to recruiting, especially when you're recruiting somebody that you're going to coach. To build that relationship with each guy. So, there's very few. I would have to say for me, there's very few guys that I coach that I don't hear from, at least, every now and then. I wouldn't say I talk to him every week, but, I get a phone call from him here and there. So, I always try to keep in touch with those guys.
How you seen him kind of grow through, through this opportunity, all the experience you've got in the last couple of weeks?
Just playing. Just getting an opportunity to play. He's a guy that was kind of sitting in the back, and he didn't get a whole lot of plays, but now he's getting even more, and he's playing well.
Is there something too? I mean, when you're kind of playing a backup role, you probably know that you kind of have a specific amount of plays that you might get in for, and now he's getting a lot of reps. So to stay mentally in tune for 60 or 70 plays per game, whatever it might be, has it been impressive to see him show that consistency play to play?
Yes, it has, and that's the key. I think with our defense this year compared to last year is the depth. That I think that if we have guys with injuries, or go down, I think the guys that are behind them, we get those guys ready during the week. So we're just not about our starters and, okay, we got stars and that's it. So we're getting our twos, a chance to play. And the good thing about it is we had a few games where we were able to get those guys out there to play, And so he was a guy that I thought as weeks were going on, he was getting a good understanding of the game. That safety position in our defense is tough because you got to make a lot of checks. And so, he's a guy that's each week he's getting better, like I said.
I know it's a kind of a label that, I think it was thrown around the first time we met with you this season with that being a dominant defense. What's your vision of a dominant defense?
When we are done with the season, we're a top 10 defense, and you won't hear me say we're dominant until then. Because every week, every opponent can humble you. Like you said, last year I thought we were humbled, and you guys know what game I'm referring to. So every week you have to be humble and hungry each week, because every opponent is different. They're looking for a weakness in your defense, and if they find it, then it can change around real quick. So dominance to me isn't a game or isn't half a season. It's a full season, of playing that way.
In a given week, just how much video do you watch? I mean, how How important is that to the defense's success right now?
A ton. I don't even know how to explain how much video, we watch, how much film. But more important than that, I think, me watching film, I think our players, that's the key, is that they study a whole lot of film and they do it on their own. With all the rules, it's only a certain amount of time we have with these guys. So for them, our culture around here is to get guys in the film room and study. And you see that all day, every day. You see guys in the hallway, and that's on offense, defense, special team. So, how much film I watch, it's a ton of film, but it comes down to our players.
One more.
Doing some on Tyler Horn, and he's talked last week about just how much fun he's having out there this year.
Right.
What's it been like to have him back out there, and what's he brought to your defense? Sort of his second chance this year.
He's been great. I remember last season when he got hurt versus Ole Miss. I looked at him in his eyes. You could tell he was, in a whole lot of pain. He was hurt that he couldn't play. And it's so funny because whenever guys have injuries, they think, okay, I'm done, right? The world is coming to an end, and then they bounce back and they realize I'll be okay. So he's a guy, he's been doing great, and I think for a guy like him that wants to play at the next level, it might have worked in his favor a little bit, to get a little bit stronger, faster. So, he's playing well right now. He's a leader for us, too.
All right, thanks, Marcel.
Thank you.
Thanks for the touchdown. Doug Martin got 3 touchdowns.